So hi, it's Grace
And Annabel.
and today we're going to have a little chat about picking the right life partner.
Oh gosh, do you think we got it right?
Well, I think we did. But a very important subject, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially when you've got kids. Do you find that you have to sort of button your tongue, not say anything when they bring home somebody that you think is totally unsuitable for
Well,
them?
both you and I have got children now who are at that age where they might be thinking about settling down in some way or other. And what I notice, and my friends tell me this as well, is that when your child brings a potential, boyfriend or girlfriend home, you can just tell by the way they are whether that person is important to them. And you just know you better not put a foot wrong or say anything about them, because at that precise moment, that potential life partner for them is perfect.
Yes, exactly.
They don't do anything wrong.
Mine say that when they bring somebody home, it's sort of like bringing meet the Fockers.
Oh,
I know, they think, and they have to say to my husband and I, now don't say this and don't say that. Oh God, you get a list of things you're not allowed to say or do or whatever, which is terrifying because you can't remember. You need to have a sort of crib sheet. Oh, can't.
I always feel that we have to be considered a family that's always doing things and going exciting places, so that my son can impress his girlfriend.
Oh,
do you not think?
Well, one of my daughters is going out with somebody lovely, a young man whose family are all very keen on fitness. They're running marathons. And we hardly walk to the end of the garden during a course for a weekend.
But suddenly you're interested in it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but it is difficult, isn't it? Because
because look, the bottom line is we absolutely love our kids, and it's so important to choose the right person that you're going to spend a lot of your life with. You don't want to make a mistake. And I've always said to my son, please don't make any decisions until you're at least 30. I think in my 20s I was one kind of person, and in my 30s I became a little bit more mature.
But remember that when they bring somebody home, like when my daughters bring somebody home, I know that their boyfriends are looking at me and thinking, that's what their girlfriend might turn out like.
Yeah.
So, it's true.
In fact, I remember my husband did say that to me. He said, your mother looks very good for her age, so I think you probably will. They do think about things like that.
Exactly.
I suppose long-term planning is a good thing.
Though having said that, I wonder if my husband did that with me, because I don't think he'd have married me if he'd done that. Anyway, enough said.
But if you think about what our kids are doing now, in terms of boyfriends and girlfriends, what about us? What about when we were young?
I know. We made all the mistakes. I think that's the thing. You don't want your kids to make mistakes that you made, and yet you don't want to tell them that you made those mistakes.
No,
exactly. I mean, do you remember...
Who was your first love?
Well, funnily enough, my first love, who I was absolutely convinced that it was going to be my life partner, and I bumped into him the other day.
Did you recognise him?
I did. He actually...
Did he recognise you?
Yes, and to be fair, he hadn't changed a bit, so he'd worn well. Mm-hmm. I hope he'd say the same about me. But do you ever do this? I wanted to see who he had actually married.
Yes.
And then when I heard he'd been married twice, I thought, so you made a mistake dumping me for the first one, because I can't remember why he did dump me. But anyway, for the first one, because she didn't work out anyway.
Well, you were a bit flighty when you were young. I first met you.
I was a bit naughty, wasn't I?
You were a bit naughty.
Don't tell my children
But let's be honest, that's what being young's about, isn't it? You've got to, see what various people are like.
It's funny, isn't it? Because what I started going out with is nothing like what my husband that I married. It was completely different. I changed so much with I sort of had this preconceived idea of what...
Yes, which was the usual, tall, slim, handsome, maybe 1 year older than you, and you ended up marrying someone who is handsome, but he's
short, he's 13 years older than me.
Yeah.
In my case, we had the whole religion problem. He's Jewish, I'm Catholic. but actually, which has actually worked really well. But on paper, most people would say, oh, I mean, remember this was 30 years ago. They would have said, you know, that isn't going to work, but it has. So,
and I married a younger man who's 10 years younger than me, and I don't actually. He's really sweet. He always says he doesn't notice the age gap.
well, there you are.
Yeah, so it worked for us, but we had a lot of trial and error getting there, didn't we?
Who was your first love?
Oh, well, I had sort of two, but I suppose the one that I remember most was an actor, and it was just so exciting, and I don't know, it lasted for 4 years. It wasn't a flash in the pan, but
That was before I knew you, wasn't it?
just before we met.
So was the next one the one that I knew?
Well, but talking about the actor first.
Oh, okay.
I just have to tell you.
Oh, yes,
I
you
don't know
did.
if I told you, but my husband was on the train going to London the other day, and he sent me a WhatsApp image. And he was only sitting opposite my old boyfriend.
Oh, God. And so does he live near you then?
Yes, he lives down in Sussex. And he was quite a bit older than me. And so you can imagine he's quite old now. Doesn't have any hair or anything. And so I think my husband was quietly chuffed and thought, oh, I'll just remind her, you know, that she's made a good choice in me.
And what did your mother say? That's what I
Oh, no. When I told my mother, she said, oh, that was a lucky escape. See, she'd tell me that now, but she wouldn't have told me at the time.
No.
If I'd have ended up, you know, being with him,
Well, because
she would have just.
You don't want to
gone along with
ostracise yourself from your child.
And what about your the one...
screenwriter?
Oh, yes. We're talking about creative types.
Well,
yes.
I went out with one in between, didn't I? And we're not going to talk about him. The tall, dark one. Dark one, yes. I lived with him. Do you remember?
Yes.
No, we don't talk about him.
That was a mistake.
That was a huge mistake.
Yes.
I think I was just flattered because...
He was good looking.
He was good looking. He left his wife for me, but I really didn't know him that well. And I was so stupid. I mean, we just didn't know. I mean, our children know their boyfriends so much, or girlfriends, much better than we do, because we didn't have all that social media and you know.
And because they've got us guiding them, you know, saying like, oh, probably best if you live with someone first to really
and I
see
didn't
what
take
they like.
mine home.
Yes,
you see,
and
whereas they
we
bring
meet them all, don't we?
Yeah, we meet them all the time,
which I love.
But
I think that's
I
great.
don't think
when I say them all, in case my son's current girlfriend is watching, no, it's only you.
Oh, I then went out with, after the one that was a big mistake, or no, just before the one that was a big mistake. Oh, gosh, now my memory's going back.
Okay.
I went out with a rabbi's son.
Did you?
And do you know, I was so young. This just shows you how different we were in those days. Naive. I didn't know what a rabbi was when he told me.
Did I know you then?
No, I don't think you did. I don't think... And I had to ask him when he said his father was a rabbi. I didn't know. I mean, isn't that terrible? And I ended up marrying somebody Jewish. But it just shows you that we were so unworldly, weren't we?
Well, okay, but what about the one? What about the one who shall remain nameless, but you know who you are? Who used to chase us individually, I might add, naked round our bedrooms.
Yes, yeah, and he didn't have the greatest attributes.
Oh, well, but he is a very charming.
Oh,
and
he's
actually,
lovely.
We still love him.
And we still love him. He was such fun. And he tried it with all our girlfriends, didn't he?
Oh, yes. But I mean, you know, that's what you did when you were young. You know, if you hot-blooded male.
I then had the scriptwriter. And did I ever tell you that I actually got engaged to him, I think, at Gatwick Airport?
That's
what was
romantic.
all that about?
But then why did you not marry him?
I have no idea.
I do know exactly who you're talking about. But didn't you go to America?
Yeah, I did, but...
To be Hollywood and...
Yeah, but not before he dumped me, and I can't remember why he dumped me. I mean, he was probably totally polite and didn't tell me.
But what about, you know, talking about keeping our kids safe and choosing the right people, what about when we went to France on that private jet and we were on that private yacht?
Oh, God, it was... But when
I look back at that, I mean, how stupid
they
were
weren't
we?
Boyfriends, though, to be fair. They weren't boyfriends.
No, they
were
weren't.
just somebody...
They were just old very rich men.
I don't know what we were doing then. And you see, again, was that naivety? And also, I never told my parents I was doing that. And they might have said, No, whereas my kids will tell me everything. They tell me, where they're going for the weekend, where they're going on holiday. I've got a daughter who's just come back from Costa Rica, so I could give her the, be safe and all that. Not that Costa Rica is, but I'm just saying, you can give them a talk. Not they listen. But you think, you at least feel that you passed on some sage advice and,
yes. And look, okay, we came out of that incident completely unscathed, and that's great. But we were a little bit foolish, weren't we?
Then you went out with the
copywriter.
Yeah.
So that did I ever tell you? When I met my current husband, this was about 10 years after I'd stopped going out with this copywriter, and my husband took me to this restaurant. And I don't know what made me do it, but I picked out this very, very old jacket. It was a Jean-Paul Gaultier jacket. It was very nice, actually. And I hadn't worn it for years. And weirdly, I put it on that day. We walk into a restaurant, and I have to tell you that this Jean-Paul Gaultier jacket was bought for me by this copywriter chap. He was very generous. And we walked into the restaurant. I sit down. I glance across the crowded room, and who should be sitting there but him, the old boyfriend. He probably didn't notice me, but if he did, he probably thought I was really sad, like, oh, she's still wearing that jacket I bought her all those years ago. Oh, God.
And then you meet the right one, and you wonder, how do, one of my daughters once asked me, how did you know he was the right one?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question. I've no idea, but it just... You sort of say it feels right. It's like sort of putting on trying on a load of dresses, and then you just know the one that absolutely is right for you, isn't it?
Do you think it's anything to do with sex? Because do you remember when those beach and place days? I shan't give away too much. And the painter and decorator and the car salesman.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Well, no, we'll move on from that one.
Oh, no, but I'm just saying they were sort of wild, fun days, weren't they?
Yes.
But with my chosen one, who I've now been with, as you have,
yes.
We've been with them for nearly 30 years. It wasn't so much to do with that wild wackiness. It was to do with the fact that I felt I could be myself, completely and utterly be myself.
Grow old together,
that we had things in common. And the sex part of it was actually my last consideration for me, as it turned out.
But do you think that's because we got married later? So we were 30.
Yes.
30 plus, so I think that does make a difference. Whereas
I think you realise that the lust and passion is something that you cannot keep up during a long relationship. So,
some people do.
Well, some people do, but not me. I'm not able to do that, and I think there are many people like me that find it difficult.
But it's difficult to say, isn't it? How would you say to your son how you know that this is the right one and that you should?
I think it's because you feel totally and utterly yourself. You're not putting on an act. You're just the person you are, and they love you for it.
I would say the person that makes you laugh too, because you've got to be able to laugh at life, because whoever you get married to, you're going to have ups and downs, aren't you?
And when you have a down, you want someone that you can trust and go through it with.
Yeah, and laugh at yourself, at whatever it is that's happened, and so on, and that you're just a team, I suppose. You just feel completely, you'll back each other up, whatever.
Yeah. And do you think that our kids look at us and think, well, the old girls didn't do too badly, did they? Look, they're happily married still, which I think is really important to our kids, isn't it?
Yes.
That we are in good relationships. And hopefully, if they do ever ask for advice, they're going to ask it from us because they trust us and think we've made good choices.
I hope so. I do hope so. But I think it's like anything, isn't it? There isn't a book that says, how to pick the right partner. I mean, God, who are we to say? I mean, we picked so many wrong ones, so to speak, that, I think...
But when you met your husband, did you actually think, oh, this one's different? Because I did.
I definitely thought this one was different. I'd never met anyone like him before. You know, he was much older than me. He was very confident. He was,
He still is.
Yes,
Much older than you and
yeah,
confident.
no, worldly. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I don't think I was struck by a bolt of lightning that said you're going to marry this one. Not at all. I just don't know. It just sort of, as I say, it's like a sort of. You feel comfortable. I think you're so right. It's just you feel comfortable, and you just think you go out for an evening with them, and you come back and you think, God, we laughed, and we,
And I wish he was still with me.
yes, and it's still like that.
I.e., before you get married,
Yes.
when you go out with them,
Yes.
you just think, oh, I could just keep that going for days, rather than, and then you really miss them, and then you want them to phone you, and it is different from the sort of passion and lust that you feel for some people, but I think it's a good phase to go through, because then, if you've had lots of different boyfriends and girlfriends. It gives you that experience. I think it does help you make wiser decisions. You realise what's important.
At the end of the day, they're going to make their own choices, and it's a very different world we live in. There's going to be different pressures on them to the ones that we had, and so on. And so, what would have been right for us is not right for them. And I just trust that they'll make the right choices. So that we'll all be happy. It's lovely, and it's I mean, I have more than one child, so what I love is the fact that when they all get on, the partners get on with each other. That's nice.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a very
because they are going to be part of this wider family, aren't they? Whoever they end up choosing. Yeah.
So we haven't really got any sort of great tips, have we? But we just,
But it's interesting. It's fun thinking back about some of our old laughs.
Yeah, that was enjoyable. Trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Actually, some of them is best left.
Yeah, some of
Left
them I'm
down memory lane.
glad
Don't
it's
take
over.
them. Yeah, exactly.
In fact, all of them, I'm just happy with the one I'm with now.
Anyway, thanks for watching and listening to us Babylon. Bye.
Bye.